Welcome to the Retro Reserve, and this is going to kick off our $10 game collection challenge, where we're going to take an initial investment of $10 and try to flip that into building a game collection. We're going to aim to have at least 3 consoles, one of them being a handheld, and then having somewhere around, let's aim for 100 games to call a proper collection. Now, initially, a lot of people, when they do this challenge, they'll take that $10 and they'll start looking at garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets for things to flip that are worth a lot more money. But what if you don't even have that initial $10? So the reality is pretty much everyone has stuff lying around their house that they're not using and they're not going to miss. That's worth some money. So I looked around and I found that I had this Swatch watch lying around. I collect watches, and at some point, I guess I picked this up. I don't remember exactly when, and I'm certain I didn't pay very much for it. So I decided, hey, I'll throw it on eBay and see if I can sell it, make a quick flip, and use that as our budget to start off this series. And that's what I did. I threw it up on eBay, and it just sold for $30 plus shipping, actually, just yesterday. So I'm going to get this shipped out. And after fees and everything, we are left with, I believe, $24.15 to really start off this challenge. And that's without even any real money being put in. That's just stuff lying around the house that we are not going to miss. So we're going to keep track up in the corner how much we have. And please, if you want to follow along with this journey in this channel, consider subscribing, like the video, and let's see how we do building a game collection with just this initial investment. So we are here at the world's largest garage sale at a convention center. They do this twice a year, and it's usually filled with some pretty great vendors. There's a few vendors that show up that usually are just retro game sellers. Unfortunately, their prices aren't great because they're trying to make a quick buck. But, you know, maybe we will find games. There will be no question of that. It's just, are they going to be a price that's reasonable to pay for the collection? Usually there are some people actually just having a garage sale there, and I've seen some people get some pretty decent scores. I've had a few nice scores here in the past, not video game related, so hoping to find something cool. I hit up a bunch of garage sales this morning too, but basically struck out at all of them. No one really had anything interesting that they were selling, but that's how it goes. You win some, you lose some, and you only need one sale to have a cool piece to add to the collection. So it opens up in about 25 minutes, and once we're inside, we'll take a look around and see what we find. Stay tuned.
So yeah, there were a couple of yard sales around today?
Eden had their entire town was all garage sales today. Yep. Nothing good. Well, nothing good that was fairly priced. Everyone wanted more than the games were worth. I was looking at like $6 games and like $10. For $5, I'm almost certainly gonna get it. I just want to see if I can find something else also and like make like a bundle deal for like $10 or something. I don't like buying just one game. I've got a problem. There's an addiction I need to feed. Some fun stuff. Oh, these are cool. Japanese. I mean, come on, that's just fun.
My buddy Nate has a guy down here. Watch this.
So Friday started out pretty disappointing. We got up super early, went to a bunch of sales, and basically no one had much of anything. There were some people that actually had old consoles and games, but they didn't want to part with them, which is understandable. But, you know, knowing that there's an Odyssey and a couple NESs sitting back there that you're not allowed to make an offer on is unfortunate. Then we kind of gave up on the garage sales in the morning and went to the convention center for the world's largest garage sale. They put that on twice a year. Unfortunately, 3 of the big resellers in the area had booths set up there, and I found out that the day before the convention, when all the vendors were setting up, they went around and kind of already picked everything clean, so there was really never any hope of finding any really good deals there to begin with. That being said, I did pick up some stuff actually at the convention, not part of our flip challenge or anything like that, just stuff to add on to the collection. So I picked up 2 NES games. One is the Super Mario Bros. With the Duck Hunt, just because I didn't actually own any NES games at all in my collection, and I feel like this is kind of a classic that you gotta have, and it was like $3, so I mean, come on. It's not really worth much of anything. It's probably worth the $3, but it's still a cool piece to at least have. And the other one we actually talked about a bit with some of the guys there, and they say it's a really fun game, so I'm actually kind of excited to try it. It comes in this like little Nintendo branded protective case, but it's Milon's Secret Castle. So I don't know much of anything about it except it's supposedly pretty fun. I like the cover art, that's as much as I can say, and it was like $5. So again, just I didn't want to go there and not get anything, so I just kind of grabbed a few things that looked interesting that were cheap. There was one other thing, though, that I did buy there, something that I've been wanting for several years, and I finally found one that met all my criteria, and that is this. Pokemon Silver for the Game Boy Color. This was my first ever Pokemon game, and this was almost one of my first actual video games, probably the first video game that like truly belonged to me. When I got my Game Boy SP, this was one of the games that I got with it. And I played this for years as a kid. I loved this game. Lugia, because of this game, is still one of my favorite legendaries. Unfortunately, my copy from when I was a kid, I lost, like over a decade ago. It just vanished. And at one point, I actually refound it and placed it on my desk to like make sure I'd never lose it again. And then it just vanished again, which I guess sucks, but now I've got it back in the collection. This is a really nice, authentic copy. The sticker is like very, very clean on it. There's no like major like dents or scratches. Just all around a great condition piece. So I paid $50 for this. So I'm happy with that. Something I really wanted. But then after the convention, there was a whole bunch of extra garage sales in a town just south of there. And at that point, it was a bit later in the day, so I didn't expect too much of anything. And when I got there, I probably hit 20 to 30 sales. And yep, just as I expected, there was at least 3 or 4 other resellers that had already hit everything up in the morning. There were quite a few sales that had games. However, they all wanted way too much for them. Most of the games were like worth, $5, $6, and they were all asking like 10 or 20 bucks a piece. So no, thank you. It was almost completely hopeless until there was one sale where I just casually walked up, and sitting on a table was this. A PS3. PS3 Super Slim, not backwards compatible, unfortunately, but it is missing the back plate here, and it was filthy. Like, this thing was pretty beat up, and it had just a sticker on it saying, make an offer, and that's usually not a good sign. And the lady had told me, because I asked her, like, hey, I see the PS3, do you have any other games? Like, oh no, you're the second guy to ask about those. The other one was looking at the console too. And I'm like, great, there's a reseller that had already came here, already asked for games, but they left this behind? Were they like really asking way too much for it? And I had a conversation with the lady, and I was like, well, does it work? Does it read games? And she was willing to like actually plug it in and show that powers up. No idea if it actually read games, and missing parts. It was obviously very busted. And I asked her, like, well, what would you want for it, knowing that there is the risk that this very much couldn't work? and then it would just be garbage, at least to me. And she goes, well, how about $10? And for $10, I was like, a PS3 for $10? This is definitely not going to work. But I took the chance, mostly because it actually had one game in it. It's Need for Speed The Run. So I took the chance, paid the $10, got home, tested it out. Guys, it works. I'm so excited about this. And this is going to be our first proper add to the collection for our $10 game collection. Our first console, a PS3. It works just fine, and we only had to spend $10, which means that we still have this much money to continue on with the challenge. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, and if you want to follow along with our channel, with our journey, both building our game room and then also building this collection with just the initial $10 investment, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out, and you won't miss anything as long as you make sure to click that bell as well. Thank you again for your time. This is the Retro Reserve. Have a wonderful day.